All right, everybody, welcome in. This is an unusual stream for me because I don't normally do these types of streams. We're doing an unboxing. Let me check my zoom on this thing. Maybe I need to get rid of the boundary. Let me see if I can turn off the boundary. Full screen frame, turn off. Yeah? Okay, well, that's kind of peeking behind the curtain a little bit. Yeah, you know what? I'll use this as my work surface. We're doing an unboxing of the Mr. Pi. It just came in the mail. I'm gonna hide the address because we don't want to show it. Let me adjust my camera a bit. Show my desk. This is what comes in the mail when you purchase a Mr. Pi from Taki Udon over at Retro Remake. This is shipped via 4PX to America. It gets sent via USPS when it comes stateside. Very cool, very useful. I've already done most of the legwork in terms of setting up the SD card because I got it from my buddy. He's in the chat right now if you want to introduce yourself. Basically what we're doing is we're going to unbox it. We're going to see what it comes with. This is part of the third batch, if I'm not mistaken. The third batch of Mr. Pis. This one might have the soldered RAM on the main board. I don't know that I'm going to go as far as yeah, of course, man. No problem. I don't know that I'm going to go and take it apart. I don't think I necessarily need to because from what I understand, these do not come disassembled. They're supposed to come pre-assembled. They're supposed to come with the RAM set up, and theoretically they're also supposed to have an SD card preloaded with the Mr. software and the BIOS and a couple ROMs to test stuff out, right? But what I did instead is I set up a different SD card over here. It's one of these terabyte baddies, and that's got a whole bunch more stuff on it by default. So also, what's this other SD card? This 1.5 terabyte is actually the one I use on my Mr., but I'm keeping it safe for now because I had to swap mine out to set it up on my Mr. Pi. And then this is the one I got in the mail that I loaded up for PK in the chat. So it's got a bunch of stuff. I have slightly more in this one, but that's because I have a bunch of other crap on there like DOS sets and a bunch of other stuff that is fun, but maybe not necessary, right? But anyway, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be unboxing. We're going to be looking at what's inside the box, and then we are going to go ahead and cut this thing open. Let me see if I can get this open without showing the address. I'll snip the top half. I don't want to dox anybody, so. All right, so I'm cutting open the top with the scissors. So we're going to open it up and slide the box out. So this is the shipping box that the item comes in. Otherwise, the bag is empty. The box is taped. This is the shipping box. I know this is not the actual product box. This is the box that holds the other box, all right? Alright, so we pop that open. Get my scissors for that part. Whoa. It's a pretty sturdy piece of tape. Alright, there you go. So I'm going to flip it over. This is how the box normally opens. And there you go. It's the Mr. Pi branded box. Very nice, very fancy. And like I said, this is part of the third batch, so there's some changes to the previous batches. The very first batches, you had to put it together. The thing didn't even come with a case. It was pretty bare bones, but this one's more complete. Kind of trying to be an all-in-one stop. Even doing the nice thing of including the SD card in the box. So very plain Jane box, just the Mr. Pi logo. Oh, I got some information. This is new. This one comes with a Mr. Pi, Type-C cable, the acrylic cover, which I assume is already on it, the standoffs, which is what the standoffs are, the things that you gotta put the thing together. The fan IO, which is the top board. And there is SD-RAM, there's the USB hub, and the V92 IO board might be referring to the audio-visual board, or it might, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's referring to the audio-visual board. So these, really the SD-RAM is not optional. It has to come because you need that to operate the most of the cores. The hub is for like multiplayer stuff. And the IO board is the topmost board, which is combined with the fan IO. You need the IO for like your on-screen display button, and your menu button, and your reset button, and all that stuff. That's what this is typically for. And most of these boards come with a fan on top to keep your thing cool, especially if you have a case on it. The V92 board adds a couple of audio-visual things that lets you hook up to like CRTs or composite connections or component connections. So like, you know, nicer monitors that are not just your standard HDMI flat screen computer screen or TVs or whatever. So I remember when I got mine, this box was a little bit of a pain to open up. So let's see if they made it easier. Yeah, it's kind of like slowly sliding out. All right, cool. So packing material, cardboard. Oh, it looks like they basically centered everything into the main box. So I'm gonna use this as my discard pile, so to speak. What's in here? Something's in here. I can feel it. What do we got? Is this our cable? Is our USB cable? Looks like it might be. This is a very nice braided cable, by the way. I use this currently for my phone charger. I had another USB cable already ready, and I like this one so much that I'm using it for another purpose. But I do have a standard like power brick set up. Just to make sure that this one works, I'm going to go ahead and use it whenever I get to the powering on stage of this thing. So we'll make sure this works before I send it. I'm pretty sure it will. Because this is, like I said, this is a high quality braided cable, you can kind of see, and it's held together by a rubber band. So I don't think there's any issues with this. So we go ahead and take the rubber band off. I think it's a 10-foot cable. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's either a 6-foot cable or a 10-foot cable. I think it's a 6-foot cable. Yeah, we got room to work with here. Hold on. Is this 6 feet? It's my arm length, so I'm going to assume it's 6 feet. So we got that. Very cool. We got something else in here. Okay, so it comes with a USB adapter that has Bluetooth, and it should have Wi-Fi. Yeah, it says 600 megabits per second. So the dongle that they put in there has Wi-Fi capability, Bluetooth 5.0, and it's IEEE. Sure. Why not? Okay. Zoom in a bit. I like 802.11 AC is what that says. So this is probably already attached to the unit, to the Mr. Pi box. They did something similar to mine where they opened it up, put it with my Mr. box, but then they left this thing with it. Honestly, this is probably trash, but I guess they didn't want to throw something away. They wanted you to throw it away, so they paid to ship it all the way from China. All right, so the only thing that's in here is the box, and this box says it's a turbo pack. So what's interesting about this, turbo packs are supposed to come pre-assembled, which I believe it is. We're going to take a quick look on it. We're going to make sure everything is in one piece. Hopefully nothing broke in shipment. We're going to look at what's going on with it. I still have my original. I ordered before they had the turbo pack and all the other packs with it, right? So mine came in multiple of these types of boxes. So I had like the Mr. Pi box, I had the RAM box, because I had to put everything together, right? But since they put everything together for you. I guess they only really needed to ship one box, and they still put the box inside of a box inside of a box inside of a bag. So there you go. All right, so we're gonna open this up. Here's what we got. We got, oh, a slip of paper. What is this? This must be, oh, this is their new QC procedure. I heard Taki talk about this. So they got QC. Athena checked it. Oh, hey, what's up, Athena? Shout out to Athena. Let's go. Athena is one of the main, she's like the sales rep on their email. I don't know. She goes by Athena. That's what she goes by. Every time you have an issue with your order, when you send an email to customer service, you're more than likely going to hear back from Athena. So apparently she checked this personally. How cool is that? When the as an aside, when the Superstations get shipped later this year, hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully that actually happens. The plan was for the founders editions of the Superstations, they wanted to have all the people that worked to put it together sign the inside of the Superstation. So if you bought a black or white or gray, PlayStation gray or black model Superstation, they're going to sign the inside of the cases. The clear ones are not going to get signatures on the inside. I think the only clear one they have right now is the blue one, because it's going to be visible from the outside, I guess. But yeah, Athena, I expect to see Athena's in there. And so apparently she did an HDMI check, she did a USB check, she did a fan check, she checked the RAM, she ran the MEM test, so it apparently clocked in at 167, which is actually higher than mine. I think I clocked mine at 150, so that's the megahertz. That's the amount of, whenever you get a new Mister, you want to test the RAM to make sure that it runs at the rated speed so that cores run correctly. So you're actually, this one apparently is rated at 167. So we'll see. We'll verify on our end just to make sure when we run the software. And then they check the VGA port, and apparently there's a signal there. So that's all good. So it looks like it passed all the tests. Hopefully. They wouldn't have sent it, hopefully, if it wasn't working. All right, so this is the Retro Remake branded case. This is the see-through one I was telling you about earlier. You got your reset. Far left button is your reset. The middle is the OSD. That's on-screen display. And then this is the user button. And they have lights associated with each one. I have a solid case, so my lights don't poke through, but my board looks very similar to this. This board right here, this is like a little boomerang shaped board. This is what connects the topmost board that has the fan and has these buttons to the audio-visual ports. And when I say audio-visual, I mean specifically the analog audio-visual ports. There's a TOS link, there's a VGA port there, and I think there's one other connection. You need this connected because you see all these little dots here? All of those are header. It's a connection to the board underneath it, right? So all of those have to make contact with this board to make the video stuff work. The reason why I'm bringing that up, if you don't anticipate that you're going to use audio-visual, analog audio-visual, then you can take that board off. It's going to disable all these connections up here, and I'll pull it out in a second, but it's going to disable all these connections here at the top. But then you have the slot open, which you can put other stuff in there, and one of the things you can put in there is another stick of RAM, like a computer, which means you can double up on your RAM. I tell most people in the Discord that additional RAM is not strictly a necessity. If you're a developer, it's useful. If you're doing beta tests for beta cores that haven't seen public release yet, it's useful. There are certain cores that can use extra RAM for stability. What comes to mind is the Sega Saturn core, for example. However, it's not necessary. The goal of the Mister project is that every core that you've got should run on one stick of RAM. So every major core that you're going to be playing on here will run on one stick of RAM. And some people have even made hacks and stuff so that you can get, I guess, boosted speeds on the standard one RAM stick cores. So even if you have an issue, it should be able to be fixed. And on top of that, the developers are working tirelessly to update this stuff. So, all right, let's go ahead and get this thing out. There you go. That's your bad boy right there. That's the whole thing. That's the whole shebang. So let's take a quick look at all the sides. This right here, I wonder if I can, well, you can kind of see it, right? You got USB power 1 and 2 on this side. Those are for powering external devices that need extra power to run. You don't have any external devices that come with this thing, but there are, for example, some people made breakout boards that you can use to play MIDI accurately, right? So you could power them from this port. You got your HDMI port, obviously. You got your power port. The Mr. Pi uses USB-C. USB-C is cool. Most Mr. Stacks use like a barrel jack. This one uses USB-C. And then this is what I was telling you up here. There's an audio jack and a VGA port. There's many different types of VGA cables you can get that break out to whatever you need. It could be a component cable. It could be a BNC cable. If you have a professional video monitor or a broadcast video monitor, PVM or BVM, there's cables that go to BNC cables, which are the ports that they are used on those. You have lots of, you can get a composite cable if you're really so enthused. I'm going to recommend you stick with HDMI because that's what it looks best with, in my opinion. But you can do you. Over here, we've got an ADC input. Yeah, man, this is a Mister, man. We're doing it. We're unlocking. We got some the bottommost board is the hub, right? So you can kind of see the 3 layers. You got the top layer, you got the middle layer, you got the bottom layer. I'm going to leave everything intact for now before I swap cards because I just kind of want to see what's going on in here, like what it comes default with. But we'll get into that once we start digging into the software. These bottom 3 USBs are part of the hub. So a triple stack is pretty much the default form, the final form of a Mister, but you can add stuff using these USB ports, right? And also extensions. Some people call the Mister an octopus. If you really start going crazy adding add-ons to this thing, it becomes what looks like an octopus because it has so many different cables and things running off of it. You can, in theory, the only thing that you need to run the basic OS on a Mister, theoretically, is the middle one because that's where the FPGA chip lives. That's also where the HDMI is. That's where the power is. Now, you would have to, if you're going to do, for example, just the middle one, you would have to provide some type of either network storage or an external storage to run the operating system, right? And then the UART is a different plug entirely. You don't ever really use that for anything on your day-to-day. So theoretically, at the most basic configuration, the middle board is all you need. But that means you're gonna be able to run a very limited subset of cores. You need additional RAM for most cores, so you're going to be adding RAM to the actual board, and you're going to want to have some type of way to operate the menus and stuff. Keyboard will work, sure, but this top board gives you access to those 3 things, right? So the minimum default that I would recommend is the triple stack, right? Because then at the very bottom, the bottom is like your USB hub where you get additional ports, and then that's where you can hook up extra like controllers and stuff like that. So yeah, where were we? Yeah, USB hub, this is where you put your SD card. The SD card, actually, let me take that back. The SD card, I think, is part of the middle board. So you could, again, theoretically, you could just use that one layer, but you're not gonna. In most Mister configurations, you're gonna want to have multiple layers just for functionality's sake, right? I'm gonna zoom in a bit. They have in fact included an SD card, so you can kind of see the SD card in there. And as you can tell, it's attached to the middle PCB, but it's flipped upside down. You can kind of see that, right? So they've included one. We're going to see what's on their card first, and then we're gonna hook up my card. And well, it's not my card, it's the card that I set up for my buddy PK. So ADC, I think it has to do with I don't know that I have that. I think I have that board. Let me double check to see what that's for. I think it's got to do with audio. Yeah, analog to digital converter. I don't know what that implies for this particular thing is. What size it is? You mean like the port itself? Well, it looks like a standard like headphone jack, right? But that says input, so I don't know why you'd want to input audio into there. I'll have to look at the documentation and see what that's intended for. I actually don't know. Oh, the SD, what size? I think they on the packaging they said it's 64 gigabytes. But once we boot the Mister, we'll be able to tell real quick. It tells you in the main menu what the size is. And then of course you got Ethernet, like I was saying. You have a USB 1 port. This right here, you can kind of see it behind the clear thing. This is a micro USB port normally. It might be a USB-C port on here. It's kind of hard to tell. That is for debugging. If you're a developer and you need to see what your core is doing at any given moment, you plug into that. There's no functional use of that unless you're debugging and testing your software, right? So that's why it's covered up. I guess you could make a hole if you really needed it, but that's what it's there for. And then here you got additional ports. And then this right here, okay, let's zoom in. So this is a snack port. The snack port is a serial connection to the board. This is it's colored blue, which implies, oh, it's USB 3.0 speeds. That's not quite what it is. Snack is serial, so that means it's directly connected to the lines that attach to the logic elements of the Mister. And what this is used for is for anything that has to do with snack, or anything that has to do with direct connections. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining. People make adapters for the Mister that allow you to use original hardware with the Mister. And what I mean by that, for example, you have a Super Nintendo game you want to play. You load up your Super Nintendo core. You have a USB controller. It's great. It works fine, right? But you want to be like, I want to be exact to hardware. I want my gaming experience to be as close to original hardware as I can. So the snack port, you get yourself a snack adapter specifically built for that particular console. In this case, it would be the Super Nintendo. And then now you can use your same childhood Super Nintendo controller that you've had for years. You can literally use it to play those games. And it's read as the system as a real controller. The inputs, the voltages, because that's the other thing, right? There's electricity involved. All that stuff gets sent directly to the core, and it operates exactly like there's no USB lag, there's no USB issue, slowdown, nothing is blocking the direct connection to the core, the computer, the processor, all that stuff. There's snack adapters for several different types of devices. There's snack adapters for the PlayStation, which also include the memory card port. So in case you want to like use your actual memory card on a Mister, you could. You don't have to. The Mister can save your saves on the SD card that comes with this machine, and you can also do save states really if you wanted to go that far. But if for whatever reason you wanted to use your old memory card with the right adapter, you can. You can use your GunCon, right? So let's say you hook up your Mister to a CRT TV, which is required for light gun games. You could use your VGA, right? Out to the composite, to your old tube TV that you still have in your mom's basement. You hook up a snack adapter with the PlayStation memory card reader and your controller port, and even that little yellow port so you can hook the gun up, and you're playing light gun games like you were doing it on original hardware, right? That's what this thing is capable of. Now you don't have to go that far. You could just hook up your own USB controller or a Bluetooth controller. It all works as you would expect. But that's what this little snack port's for. Very useful. This is also where you can use what's called a Mr. Laggy. Mr. Laggy. The Mr. has the ability to test video signals for your display, so you can test to see what the lag is on your computer monitor or your TV. It does like a little light test. It comes with like, I don't have it. I put mine away for now. I'm trying to keep it safe. But you connect a USB cable and then you put the Mr. Laggy at the end of it, and you run some software on the Mr. Pi. It'll blink on your screen. You put the little sensor on your screen, and it'll tell you, okay, your television has a rated speed or latency of 4 milliseconds per second, for example. I have an OLED screen, so my response time is very low, which means my games are going to feel really great when I play on my OLED screen. All right, they're not going to be perfect, right? Like the perfect response would be 0. That means like the moment that the signal's sent to the TV, it's on the screen, and that's what CRTs are good for. But when you buy a nice high-end OLED monitor, that's what you're looking for. All right, so that's basically the tour of the ports. They got this on here. It says, Durf said, reminds me of those ports on those old systems. They were never used or hardly used. You mean like the ones like underneath it and stuff that never get used for anything? It's pretty cool. So what's unique about this one? So I've already pointed out, it's kind of useful that this thing is clear because I don't have to take it apart. This stuff right here, these are the connectors I was talking about that connect to this little angled audio-visual connector. So you in my Mister, I've got a row of pins here, and I've got a row of pins here. But you can kind of see on this one, there's no row of pins, right? That means they've soldered for this model of the Mr. Pi. They actually soldered the RAM directly to the board. So it's an integral part of the board. You don't have to remove the RAM, right? It's built in. If you want to, you can add a stick of RAM on this side, so you can double up on your RAM. And then, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, you would be removing this little connector board which would then disable the VGA out and the audio out. But if you wanted to run double RAM build, you could. But this thing comes with the RAM soldered directly, so you don't have to worry about removing it. You don't have to worry about losing it. It's all part of the package. So how great is that? How useful. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna test the cable that came with it. So that's the first things first. Let's get the power hooked up, right? Okay, that's what it looks like, and I have several power plugs off to the side next to my RetroTink stuff. So I'm going to plug that in right now. Give me 1 second. Actually, before I do that, the moment I plug the power in, it's going to turn on. So let me hold off from plugging the power in first. I'm going to also, while I'm doing it, I'm going to connect the HDMI cable. So let me connect the HDMI, and finally I'm going to connect this keyboard over here. When you're doing your setup for your Mister, main thing I recommend you have is a USB keyboard, just so you can do the initial setup. You can get it to the point, you can set up your Mister to the point where you don't need a keyboard, but if you're doing initial setup, it's a lot easier to navigate the menus with a keyboard. This is like a standard little USB cable, extra thing I got from a couple jobs ago that they let me keep. So I'm just, I had it in my drawer, the basic USB cable. I'm going to use one of the USB cables on the side. Additionally, I noticed that I didn't see where the Wi-Fi dongle is. So that's going to be interesting. It says it comes with the USB adapter, right? Didn't we establish that it's supposed to have a USB adapter? Let me make sure I didn't miss it in the packaging. We need to make sure that's actually there. Hey, what's up, Kajok? Yeah, I think this is just like a little Dell, basic Dell jobby. HP? No, it's not even Dell. It's like an HP keyboard. But yeah, you can get yourself something. If you don't have a spare keyboard, something as simple as Amazon Basics you can get, as long as it has the F keys. If you have F1 through F12, that's where the majority of the functionality is going to be. Obviously, the arrow keys up, down, left, right, and then enter. That's really all I need to get that going. But let me double check. Maybe it was in here and I just didn't notice it. Alright, so this is some of the packing materials that we had. They had the USB cable wrapped up in one of them, so... Is it in here? Ah, yeah, there it goes. Look at that. I would have completely missed that if I hadn't checked the frickin' paper. So I don't love that. I don't love that they do that. I guess including this here was to tell you that you should be looking for this. They wrapped it inside the packing paper, so whatever this weird chicken scratch paper is. Alright, so I think that's everything then, right? We'll go ahead and plug that in now. I'm going to plug it into here. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's a regular USB port that doesn't say it's for power and doesn't say it's for some other functionality, putting it here will work just fine. And then let me get the keyboard hooked up. And we'll put it right here. Now, I don't have a direct line to my router, but we're not going to be doing a whole lot of updating because, like I said, I already did that last night on the actual card that's supposed to be in there. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just going to go ahead and run through and see what they've included in their packaging. Maybe you'll like some of the stuff that came in their default install. Theoretically, it should all be, everything that's on this default install should be on the card I set up for you already, PK. But if not, I guess we're gonna find out, aren't we? And then while I'm thinking about it, so I got my keyboard, I got my Wi-Fi adapter. While I'm thinking about it, let me go ahead and get a USB controller. I think I'm gonna pull up my... You were talking about Sega stuff the other day, so let me pull up my 8BitDo Sega controller. Let me get that. This thing's a beast. We love this controller for the Mister. I love the D-pad on this thing. It's fantastic. I actually bought it for my Sega Genesis, like my actual Sega Genesis. It just happens to work on PC if you have a cable. This one, the 2.4 gigabyte version, it's not Bluetooth, but it does work over USB. There is a Bluetooth version of this if you want it to be wireless. This one comes with a dongle specifically meant for your Sega Genesis. Or your Master System, or your Mega Drive. Yeah, I got the 2.4 gigahertz because I wanted a faster connection. So we'll complete the triumvirate. We'll plug it over here. Let me make sure I got it in the right direction. All right, so we're all plugged up on the same side. So the only thing I'm missing is an HDMI cable. So let me go get that HDMI cable. This is the same USB cable I had hooked up to my other Mr. Pi. So, all right. So what I'm going to do now. Oh God, that was confusing. What I'm going to do now is, what are we going to do? I am probably going to switch scenes here so that we can, I turned my PS2 on just so that my RetroTink wouldn't turn itself off. We're gonna route this through the RetroTink. I don't think they've set up direct video. So did it come with the USB dongle? It came with the Wi-Fi Bluetooth dongle, yes. Came with the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. It was in the packaging, it was just hiding in there. So that's what it looks like. This is a cheapy $5 dongle that they include, but this one works pretty well. I have the exactly same one on my Mr. Stack. It works well, the speeds are good. I've used it to update everything, so hopefully this one works the same way. Shouldn't be a big issue. I'm going to about one of those dongles from AliExpress. Yeah, they're super cheap, man. I think they're based like on a spec board or something. It's just like a basic schematic that all the Chinese companies copy. So, and apparently it's reliable enough that they sell it, you know, in mass for cheap. The cable for the HDMI was running on my keyboard, so it was doing all sorts of goofy stuff to my stuff I've never seen. It was doing it to my my OBS window. So, all right, the moment that I plug power into this thing, it's going to light up like Christmas. So what you're gonna see when I switch over real quick, and in fact, maybe I'll just modify my full screen layout. So bear with me while I switch over. You just wire up some buttons to that Steel Sigma stick, some OSD buttons. All right, we're here. Right, give me 1 second. Let me switch over. All right. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to move my... Oh, select start. Okay, cool. I'm going to move my camera group over here somewhere. Make it a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on. I hope I'm not overlapping anything. Anyway, like I was saying, the reason why you're seeing my PlayStation right now is because I needed to send a signal to my RetroTink so it wouldn't shut itself off. I have my RetroTink to cut itself off after like 10 minutes or something, and I just wanted to make sure everything was connected. I don't think that this thing is defaulted to direct video mode. In fact, I would be very surprised if it was. I don't think it is. But it should, in theory, still be able to send signal when I switch over to my Mister. So we'll see how that works. I'm going to turn my PlayStation off, and then I'm going to turn on the Mister by plugging it in. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Actually, let me switch over the input, right? That would probably help. All right, we got power. Seems to be running. I gotta turn my Tink on. There we go. Good news is the Bluetooth dongle has been picked up. Does this have defaulted? Okay, so neat. My Genesis controller is already working, so it's mapped to the basic stuff. Very cool. They included a bunch of different backgrounds already. So when you turn your Mister on, aka you plug the power out, you supply power to the Mister, right? This is what's going to happen. You are certainly able to purchase inline switches. Shoot, why don't I just, rather than tell you about it, let me just show you. All right, so there are certain ones I recommend you purchase. This one in particular was made by a member of the community called Todd. He runs a store called RetroFrog. He 3D prints a bunch of stuff, including my case, which I've shown on stream before. And in fact, let's just switch back to that, right? We're gonna show some detail stuff here, so. Let's all right, so this is the inline adapter made by Retrofrog. There's a couple of these online. You got to be careful with these because the ones you want to get, if you're going to get this or something like it, you want to make sure it's got USB-C connections both on the in and on the out. Most of the ones you'll find on like Amazon that you're going to want to look for are like Raspberry Pi types, right? But the concept is provide power, so you have a power switch for your Mister, right? It's not built in. Typically, when you plug in the Mister, once you provide it power, it's off to the races. And then, of course, Todd 3D printed like a little. He printed like a little frog. It's kind of hard to see. It's like his logo or something. I don't know. It's hard to. I don't have a whole lot of light here, so it's kind of hard to make out what. It's like a happy face or something. I don't know. You tell me what it is because I can't tell. Anyway, this is your power switch if you decide to purchase it. I spent a lot of money for this. I think I spent more than $20 on this. But I wanted to make sure the power that I was sending to my device was clean and that it was actually stopping it from happening. So you can certainly buy a cheapy one, but there's cheaper ways of doing this. Let's say, oh, hey, thanks for the follow, Mr. Sleazy. Appreciate you. Welcome in. We're in the powering up portion of the stream. So you could hook up, theoretically, this cable to a smart switch, for example. Let's say you have a smart switch on your Wi-Fi network and you hook up the USB cable that's coming out of this thing, plug it into your smart switch like with a standard power brick, and you can be like, Alexa, power on the Mister or whatever to supply power to that smart switch. And so then that will turn it on, right? You can get it's your boy Nick. Let's go. Oh, Nick from Nick that moved away. Welcome in, bro. Nick that we used to play online games with, but now you no longer exist. I know who you is. What's up, man? It's nice to see you again. I didn't even know you were on Twitch. I've been streaming for a minute. I'm glad you're following me now. Welcome in. We're looking at the Mister stuff. We're looking at hardware. We're going to be playing games here in a bit. I think. I hope anyway. So where did I leave off? Anyway, my point is you got different ways of doing this. So, you know, if you're happy with unplugging your USB cable and plugging it back in and plugging it back out, you can do that. Certainly, some people don't want to do that because they don't want to stress their cable so much. So they think of ways of putting inline switches along the way. Anyway, you have ways of doing it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm not your mom. You choose however works for you. That's kind of how Mister is set up. All right, so let me switch back to where I was before on the previous scene. All right, we're looking good, so that's promising. So this is what you're going to see when you first come up. If all you did was go in here and say, for example, let's go to the arcade. Oh, I don't know how they map the buttons. I just realized it's probably A, B, X, Y. Yeah, so B, in this case, A, B, X, Y is the default, and then B is to go forward. And they've already loaded a bunch of arcade stuff on here. Looks like you got your Don Patch, you got your Image Fight, Guwange, Kid Nicky, Mario Brothers, Mr. Do Nightmare. This is all your arcade junk that comes default with this particular install of the Mister software. I'm kind of surprised that they actually sent this on the SD card, if I'm going to be honest with you. So that looks like a basic complete set of the standard stuff that's supported by Mister, with the exception of They don't have Growl on here, do they? Yeah, they didn't install Growl, so they don't have the most recent updates, but they have the majority of them. You have a bunch of computer stuff. This is all part of the default stuff that comes with the Mr. Pi offline package. All the computer cores, all your console cores. Let's see what they include in here. GNW. I don't know that I have that on mine. What is GNW? Curious. What we got in here? Nothing. Oh, Game & Watch. It's a Game & Watch core. Okay, okay. Cool. Cool. We know about that. What you know about Game & Watch? Mr. Game & Watch. All right, so let's go ahead and reboot. There's another background. Computers are there. Consoles are here. Did they include all the Sega stuff on this default thing? I know they don't have any Saturn. They won't have any Saturn, I don't think. Yeah, there's no Saturn on here. I did not think so. But I got you on the Saturn stuff, PK, so don't worry about that. Actually, I can just show you. So you got 3 buttons on here. You got your reset, you got your OSD, and you got your user. So the OSD turns off the screen that we're looking on. Turns off, turns on, right? But then Ingrid out of nowhere, you hit the reset. That should take you back to the main OSD. And I think reset's like a straight up like hard reboot, like from the top, we're starting over. So do you recommend this for playing classic games? So what's the beauty of the Mister? The beauty of the Mr. Pi. What about that? Oh, you mean the DLC announcement? Yeah, that was such a funny way to announce that. They used the wrestling guy to when I was understanding what they were doing when they did it, but it still made me like crazy. I was kind of surprised they brought C Viper back. I was like, hey, I was wondering where she's been. I thought it was funny. But anyway, to answer your question, Durf, so if you are looking for accuracy, right? If your goal is to play games accurately, the most amount of accuracy as possible. Let's see. Are we hooked up? Good there? Ooh. What we got? We're seeing some blinkies on here. Oh, we don't love that one. Oh, there we go. All right, so that's there. And then, are we in? All right, well, we'll try to pull the power and restart. In a word, yeah. If you're looking, so the thing that the Mister is capable of, pretty much temper your expectations. It's designed, the cores are designed to run basically the very beginning of the 32-bit era and then lower. This whole project started off as a system to maintain computers, right? Amiga, that was like the main target. The ZX Spectrum, all that stuff, right? That's where it started, and then it evolved into Mister. The Mister is like stands for something, I forget. Kajak can tell you what it stands for. And then developers started using this hardware, this target hardware, as a way to develop cores that use the FPGA chip. Oh, I asked you earlier what your glasses were. That's probably what. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife is awake and she is asking where her glasses are. And it's probably upstairs in the bed. Or uh-oh, my kid's awake too. He's running around. It was originally Myst. There you go. And it was like Amiga only or something, and they made it fancier and then just added as a TLDR. They are definitely where she left them. No, they're not. They're not on top of her head. I wish they were. It would be easier to find. But yeah, like how Kajak was explaining, it started off as a computer thing, and then it became developers making cores for copying the hardware, the original logic of the chips. A lot of these guys would take the original chips from the consoles and delid them, like take them apart to see how they were built, and then look at schematics, and then rebuild them using the FPGA chip. So that now what you have here is accurate representation. Yeah, see, this doesn't even have the new N64 cores. Anyway, you'll have accurate representations of the original hardware. So the goal of the MiSTer is to recreate actual hardware, but you can play it on multiple types of displays, and then you don't have to deal with like blowing cartridges and doing all sorts of nonsense like that, right? It's a preservation effort, but it targets accuracy. Now, certainly you could go to emulation, right? But emulation, while it's good, don't get me wrong, I love emulation. It's very good at what it does. However, it's not ever going to necessarily be as accurate as real hardware. So when you look at, when we say emulation as a term, we're talking software emulation and different ways of converting the original games and their programmatic calls and the way they work on hardware and translating it to a different type of hardware or a newer type of hardware. But when we're talking about MiSTer, we're talking about hardware emulation, where you're looking at the behavior. Yeah, exactly what Kajak said. You're looking at the behavior of the original chip and recreating the gates that are used in that original hardware, but on a programmable chip that's able to change, in real time whenever you send it the stuff. So when I say a core, each of these cores is a software or written programmed representation of the original logic as it came from the chip. At least that's the goal, right? Some of these are still in progress. Some of them aren't perfect, but I think you'll find that once you start playing with MiSTer hardware and you start playing these games, you'll realize how close it is to original hardware. And that, to me, that's where the value is. And the other half of that is that the MiSTer ecosystem is so well supported by a huge community of people that give they make corrections and changes to cores whenever they find errors. They have all sorts of video mode support for different things. Right now, I'm running this MiSTer that I'm testing is running through a RetroTink 4K. I'm streaming in 4K. The signal that you're seeing is a 4K signal on my OLED screen, and it looks fantastic. And it's going to run at the right frame rate because the MiSTer is going to replicate the frame rate of the original hardware. It looks great. It's fantastic to play on this display. And if you have a nice screen at home, you can use that too. And you remember those NES Classic and Super Nintendo Classics? Those things are emulated, and they're great products, but they're laggy. They have lag issues. They're not as responsive. They're not like the original hardware at all. They do take some shortcuts. The MiSTer aims to cut through all that BS. If you want to play your stuff on original TVs, you can. If you want to play your stuff on a nice display, you can. It'll play as responsively as the original hardware. That's what's up. That's what we want, right? What should we play? The thing is, I don't know what they included on this. So really, I'm kind of just guessing what's on here. All right, so the reason why I wanted a keyboard, F12 brings up your menu. We have 55 gigabytes available on this card, so I'm going to assume that to answer your question earlier, Durfsonic, I think this is a 64 gig card, which is a fairly full card, actually. The scripts that comes with this SD install is, attention, this is dangerous operation. Script has control over the whole system and may damage the files or settings. Then MiSTer won't boot, so you'll have to reformat the SD card and fill the files in order to use it again. Do you want to continue? Yes, and don't insult my intelligence again. All right, so this comes with a couple things in the basic package. It comes with USB polling. You can clock your USB ports to run at 1000 hertz, which is preferable. You want that. I'm going to turn it on. We're a computer. This will support 1000 hertz polling. Yes. If you have any input issues, turn it off. And now it's going to reboot. As you saw, that was a thing that happened. Ooh, Silent Hill. Okay. Let's go back to the scripts again. So we turned on polling on. Favorites is a thing that lets you set your favorites, as in games that you want to play multiple times. I'm not going to mess with that. INI settings is a thing where you can change your INI settings. Maybe I'll check that out. Let's see what that looks like. This stuff can be done on your computer. There's a Mr.ini file on the computer, and you can edit that in a text editor. You don't have to go through this to do it, but they give you a script to do it in case you want to. So I'm going to turn on direct video. Direct video is what I need to make my 4K upscaling thing work properly. So that was not turned on. It is now currently on this SD card. V-scale is fine. I'm matching because I have VRR on my current monitor. I'm just going to leave the VSync on. Do I want VRR built in? No, because my RetroTink 4K handles this. If you don't have a RetroTink 4K, you can leave it to your Mister if you want, but my RetroTink 4K is actually doing all the scaling through direct video, so I'm not going to be worried about it. I'll let the direct video handle it. Everything else should be the same, I think. Let me double check that. No, we can leave that alone. I think there's a setting for amount of frames or something like that. This is where you would set, like, if you want to do other types of sync or VGA modes, automatic sync on green. This you're getting into the weeds of the audio visual stuff, right? But there's definitely, oh, you can rotate your OSD. Oh, cool. I didn't even know you could do that. You can rotate the on-screen display. So if you know that your Mister is always going to run in vertical mode or Tate mode, you can rotate the OSD so it matches your screen, so that if the only thing you have on there is like shoot 'em up games that run vertically oriented, you can turn your OSD sideways, and so it'll always look right on your screen. Right? That's kind of cool. You can do recents. Enables recent load to mountain file. Okay, so the only reason why they turn it off is that it constantly writes to your SD card. They try to reduce the amount of writes to your SD card as a matter of ensuring that your card lasts as long as it can. So that's why it's turned off. They don't. If you ever load a core and it doesn't save your progress, it's because you have to turn on saving before you use it, right? Because that means that it's going to write to your SD card. And everything about this system is designed to reduce the amount of writes, because they don't want people to mess up their stuff. But again, your choice, right? That's what you want to do. You do it. And then this is arcade stuff. We're in the weeds with that stuff. So the only thing I really need, I think, is the direct mode. I think if direct mode is on, we should be fine. We're gonna save it. If you have video problems, hold the OSD menu button while rebooting. Okay, good to know. F12, like I was saying, brings up your main menu from your keyboard. There you go. That looks right. Wait, hold on. I just realized something. The reason why it looks this way is because you have to turn off direct mode for the menu. And I forgot about that. And that requires editing a line that's not part of that setup. But it's okay. We can still navigate this, so it's fine. This is not the intended look for this. Again, like I said, I'm running this through my RetroTink, and direct mode does not work with the menu, but there's a way that you can set the INI up so that it doesn't do what you're seeing right now. So, but again, I'm not shipping this SD card with this Mister to my friend. I've already set this up for his setup, so he'll be good to go as soon as he gets it. F12, main button, up, down, left, right on your keyboard. I don't know if you can kind of see me. I'm using my keyboard right now. So that's why it's showing up as 640 by 240, because it's trying to run the main menu at 240p, which is kind of funny actually. But if I switch over to the example one, it should be default. So let's try that. I'm switching over. Yep, there you go. Okay, we're good. And I'm telling you this right now. You see right here. So I'm hitting F12. It brings up this menu, right? This is your main menu. From here, you can go left. Left is your information for your Mr. The config main is going to be set to direct video by default, and it's going to load with that config on your end. If what you saw happened, like for example, you load it up and for whatever reason you start seeing that weird glitchy thing on the main menu, the example file is just a blank default INI that you can load, which will reset it to where we are now. So just a point of order. I think on mine, I labeled it as Alt 1. On the one I set up for you, it's called Alternate 1. So same difference, right? If for whatever reason the main one fails, you should be able to go to this config and select Alternate 1. So it doesn't screw you over and you can't see what's going on. Scripts. SAM, this is if you want to use it. This is kind of like an attract mode. Are you familiar with the concept of an attract mode, PK? SAM stands for super attract mode. Some people like to set up their Mister in their arcade, right? And the attract mode is the thing that plays before you put money into your game, right? When it cycles through the different game title screens and it has like gameplay, demo gameplay, so you can get a sense of what the game looks like. That in an arcade, when they talk about attract mode, they're talking about that. It's something that catches your attention. Mister has the capability of doing what's called a super attract mode, which it'll randomly load cores and games while you're just idling at the screen. And it'll go through different games in real time. Like it'll just load cores and stuff as if it's trying to be like an attract mode. I think it's really distracting for me. But if you decide that that's what you want, you can do it. Like it's up to you. And it's just a matter. It'll look at everything that's installed in your SD card and it'll pick valid things and load them. The only danger with that, and there is a danger with that, if the core that the Mister selects is not direct video supported, you might get some graphical glitches. I think you can go in and fine tune which cores you want to be super attract mode. Like let's say I only want to see Sega Genesis games or whatever. I'm pretty sure there's an option in there for that. I'm not going to mess with it because we can get into the weeds. And if that's the case, yeah, you could just choose, I only want Sega Genesis previews. And it'll only load cores from the Sega Genesis, right? That way you're not messing around with different video modes on different cores and stuff. RTC is a real-time clock. The Mr. Pi right here comes with the ability to put a watch clock in there. So if you have games that use real-time clock, I think the only ones that are like that anybody ever cares about is the Pokemon games. It's got a button you can press to just stop the randomizer and start playing the game. Yeah, there you go. Kajak knows. Kajak knows what's up. If you can't make up your mind and you want the game to pick for you, just use that, I guess. But you can figure that out on your own if you really want to do that. I usually know what I want to play by the time I get to it. Real-time clock, I think the only games that really use it that anybody cares about is the Game Boy games, the Pokemon Game Boy games, right? But I was about to get to that. If you set your time zone over the Wi-Fi, it runs a script, it connects to the internet, it checks what time zone you're in, and then it'll automatically update the clock. Right now, there's no clock at the top of the screen. Right now, you just see that little bar. It's the little bar above this thing that says Mister. It has the Bluetooth icon and a little RAM chip. It ain't there, right? But normally they would be like time and whatever. And so you can just set your Mister to update when you turn it on, connect to a web server, check what time it is, and then get you going. I think your mic is on the fritz. What do you mean? Is it bad? Am I coming in staticky? If I'm peaking a little bit, that's by design. I want to peak. I want to peak a little bit because I want you guys to hear me over everything. So it's going to be loud on purpose. If it sounds like static, then that's a different problem. But it's supposed to be a little peaky. I'm still adjusting my audio. I'm still fine-tuning, adjusting my audio. Like for example, let's say I do this 1 2 3 1 2 3. If it sounds a little bit overdriven, that's what I'm going for. Because when I'm playing games that are super loud, I want people to be able to hear me. Right now, you can notice it because there's no game audio, right? Yeah, what about it? Oh, well, I'm in the middle of something. You can take him if you want. Is it like, is it actually water or is it? Okay, well, maybe we can go a little bit later. How long is it going to go? 10? Yeah, we don't have to go right away, but yeah, we can get dinner there. Get dinner there? They have food? Enough? Uh, yeah, I've been streaming for, I think a little bit longer, and then I'll probably raid out when I'm done here. All I'm doing is unboxing and setting this up. That's all. We're planning for the evening side. Okay, so Samba is a network protocol. Unless you're hooking up to a server, you don't need Samba, so you can leave that alone. Time zone is what I was telling you about. Update is the default update thing. This is what comes with Mister for updating cores, but update all is the goated update. Update all is what updates the extra stuff, the really nice stuff that you want to have. And then Wi-Fi sets up your Wi-Fi. So, like I was saying earlier, I've already got this set up on the other SD card, and I also have some other scripts on the other SD card. If you don't mind, PK, I'm gonna keep this SD card. I think the one that comes with this one, and then I'm gonna give you your bigger card because the bigger card is what you want. Unless you want me to just keep it in there as a backup or whatever. You let me know before I ship it, okay? I'm just showing you what the Wi-Fi thing looks like real quick. When you hook up this little dongle right here, this little bad boy dongle right here, this one, the one I'm tapping. When you hook that up, you get access to the internet, but you actually have to connect to your Wi-Fi network. What a concept. So at minimum, when you get this, the first script that you need to run when you get this, when you plug it all up, you plug in your dongle, you plug in your keyboard. Heck, you might even plug in a USB controller. The first thing you need to do, pay attention, you got to run the Wi-Fi setup because you got to connect to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is important because in that way, that's how you can update your stuff. It'll pick whatever has the strongest signal. It's probably going to be the one that's closest to you. So there you go. You log in, you put your password in, it'll connect like any other. In fact, I'll just go ahead and do it, right? I'm going to go ahead and put my password in. Typed it right. Hold on. Okay. Bro, we're hooking up. Xfinity is everywhere. Saving. It's trying to connect right now. I see the dongle blinking, so clearly it's trying to do something. You can kind of see the dongle working. Bleep, bleep, bleep. And press any key to continue. And we are online. And how do I know I'm online? So at the little bar at the top that says Mister, you have your Wi-Fi marks. Your Bluetooth is still enabled. Your RAM is still enabled. And it says it is currently June 7th, Saturday at 6. Is that right? Is that the right time zone? Okay, so now that we're online, let's do time zone. This theoretically should be able to find out where we are based on your IP address. Time zone set to America, New York, press any key. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Now we're at the right time zone. So we're in the correct time zone now, Saturday, and the right time. Perfect. So running time zone once after you run your Wi-Fi is what you want to do, okay? You and I are in the same time zone as far as I know. Of course, Durfsonic. This really was just trying to be like, I wanted an excuse to set this up, and I figured I could do it on stream and make something informative at the same time. But then, you know, hopefully people come in, they see this, they want to see how easy it is to set this up, and I can always just reference them to this video later. Oh, God. I just dropped my camera. Surprise. Were you awake? My bad. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to scare you there with that jump. All right, so we're Wi-Fi'd up. The dongle works on Wi-Fi. The only other thing is update. but the update is not necessary on this SD card. I'm not going to do it right now because it's going to take a long time to go through it from top to bottom. So I'm not going to bother. Escape key to get out on the keyboard. Actually, let me zoom out a bit so we can see more of the keyboard. Zoom, put this down here, put this down here. I think that's it. That's the majority of what we got. So I guess all it's to do is just play a game, right? Just real quick. I'm going to set this to main. It's going to reset it. It's going to look funky because we know it's going to look funky. And then we're going to play some. You said you want to play that Spider-Man game. So let's try Sega 32X. What was the name of that game? I hope it's on here. I don't know that it is on here, actually. Like I said, probably another 20-30 minutes. Oh, he didn't put the 32X games on here. How sad. What's on here, dude? What things did he load on here? Okay, I guess we're gonna reset this and we're gonna reboot and see. Maybe there's some Super Nintendo games. Maybe. I guess he didn't load this as full as I thought he did. Okay. Nope. How cool is that? All right. Okay. How about this? How about we're not going to have this problem when we actually use the other SD card because we actually have freaking ROMs in there. What are you doing? What are you doing? Look at that. Oh my God. My wife is sitting right behind me and she gave me a sub. Well, thank you.
For my hubby.
I appreciate you. Okay, do we have any ROMs in here at all? It's different. All right. I think I'm just, and I don't even have a BIOS on here, so it didn't run. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the power off of this thing. Let me swap back to my other camera view here. Clearly, we want to play games, but we can't play games because we don't have the games. So we're gonna power this off, taking out the USB. We're gonna remove the SD card that's in here. Like I said, we'll talk later, PK, if you want to keep this card or not. If you don't need it, I would request taking it because I got some stuff I could use for it. And then we're gonna put your card, which has been preloaded with all the stuff you could ever want in your life, and then some, enough for 15 lifetimes. I sometimes imagine what it would be like if I had my brain transplanted to a computer when I was about to die. And then like, oh man, now I can just simulate playing video games for the rest of my life. How interesting that might be. And then you hook me up to the equivalent of whatever the Matrix is during that time period. All right, so this SD card has been preloaded and preset up to work direct video mode properly with everything on there. Okay, well then I'll just include it in there. I'll include it into your Switch 1 and then you can have it. He actually, really? Okay. All right, so this one's got some different stuff on it. We're gonna hit F12 again. Now you have 12 gigs available, but you actually have a terabyte card. So that should tell you how much more stuff we have on here, which is considerably more. And I've already set up the Wi-Fi to connect to my Wi-Fi. I'm probably going to delete that before I give it to you, so you don't know my credentials. And there you go. The time just updated. Yeah, I figured you would appreciate that. You can use your SD card in the Switch 2, but it will only work for Switch 1 games. You have to have the high-speed Switch 2 card for your Switch 2 games. But if you have a regular SD card that has Switch 1 games on it, you can use that. But it'll only work for... And it's really confusing, and I don't like it. Give it to me, Paul. My dad has it. My son has a screwdriver. Paul! Give it to me. Here. Thank you. He broke it. Yeah. From what I was reading, that you could still use the old card with the old games, but if you're trying to do Switch 2 games. You gotta do it. All right. So Web of Fire. My love is a web of fire. It's a burning desire. All right. So we said what it, so I'm pretty sure I put a separate, yeah, I put a separate Sega 32X, and we're calling it Web of Fire, or just Spider-Man Web of Fire. Is this Sega 32X? Uh-oh, let's go back. Is it a European game? Oh no. Or am I looking in the right spot? Golf magazine. Anybody want to see Knuckles, Sonic and Knuckles? Are you sure this game existed? Because it should be in here. Amazing Spider-Man? Web of Fire. There you go. It was right there. I just looked right over it. It has a different title. It's Amazing Spider-Man. All right, so let's try that out. I need to turn my audio on. Oh, there goes the boy. Blue Sky Entertainment. I remember that logo. Sega 32X was a 3-button controller, right? By default. Look at those graphics. It's incredible. Is it just like how you remembered it? Does it look like how you I've never played this game before, so I have no idea how this is supposed to play. I'm gonna turn the camera off real quick. Every time I hit the start button, it does that wah sound effect. Okay. Are my controllers set? Oh yeah, it is. Laser web appears above Manhattan. Evacuation order. City hostage to Hydra's web of fire. Hydra sets ransom $1 billion. That used to be a lot of money. Hydra deploys the enforcers in city. Daredevil captured by supervillains. Oh, so it's using like the Z button over here for jumps. Oh god, this game is really fast. Okay, he just climbs up. Oh god, I feel like I can't control him. He's too fast. He's way too quick. Why can you grab on the side of a unit? This game is so goofy. I heard this is, you told me this is one of the last games that came out for the console. Okay. What happens if I like just jump off? Can I jump off? I guess I can't jump off. Alright, so jumping off is not recommended. Oh, there you go. You just have to like double tap the... Okay, you double tap the jump, he'll automatically put out his stuff. Noon's Noodle Den. So you own a copy of this game? If you do, that's insane, dude. Usually Spider-Man games are pretty good, depending on the developer. Let me check my Daredevil? What does that mean? Let me check my inputs. Let me make sure I got the right inputs. I'm going to go to Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout. Vec was just playing the Vigilante games? Like Vigilante 8? I didn't know he was on. Alright, hold on. Button key. Wait, what is this all about? That's not what I was expecting. I need to check my I need to check my controller inputs, right? Oh, Vigilante 8. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Right, left, down, up. A, B, C, start. Mode. That button. X, Y, Z. And no, I don't want to set them up. All right, perfect. So that means that... What does Daredevil mean? All right, so web is supposed to be A, B is punching, C is jumping. X, Y, and Z don't do anything. Okay. You got Doom, you got all those games. Hello. I just wasted a bunch of web there. I was hitting the wrong, because I had mapped my brain to the opposite thing. How do I get that? Can I like slowly go up if I time it right? Or do I have to jump from here? I didn't know Daredevil was in here. You have to save Daredevil and then you can play as him apparently. Oh god, give me the health. I need the health. He's right there, right? So I gotta like save him, I guess. Oh man, I'm so bad at this. I wish that the web button was like separate from the jump button. You have to jump and then jump again to do it. Can I save this guy? I didn't know he was in this game though. So now I can play as him? Is that yeah, this game like freaking, I feel like I'm playing Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm running so quick. Well, thanks for letting me know, Duel. I'll probably end up raiding to him when I'm done here. I'm pretty close to finishing, I think. So can I just hit start and play as Daredevil? Is that what's going on in the streets? If I hit Daredevil? Oh, you can call in. You can call an assist. Oh, you can call in an assist. Okay, that's cool. It's weird that it's tied to the freaking pause menu. That is a little weird, right? Like you have to load the pause menu to call your guy in. Wait a minute, I died and I have to start over from the beginning? No, dude, that's not fair. I don't want to start from the top. And I don't get my stuff back? Nah, man. That's dirty. I don't want to play that. We're not doing that. Yeah, Lee, dude. You gotta be kidding me. I went through all that effort. Yeah, this game was really fast, actually. I'm sure there's people who like speedrun this game, though. Oh yeah, that's a good point. There might be a save state thing. Can we save state? We can load. Okay, so autosave. All right, number one thing. PK, I'm telling you this now. Not every core does this, but most of them that have the ability to save have this. If you want, if your core has some method of saving, like say it uses a memory card or it uses onboard memory, like your Sega CD or your Sega Saturn or your PlayStation, you want to turn on auto saving. This is not on by default. Again, the thought process is the Mr. developers want to reduce the amount of writes to the SD card. So anything having to do with auto saving, all that stuff is typically turned off. So you go into your core, you turn on auto saving by using the keyboard, right? I just went down to the, I don't know if you can see it. I went down to auto saving, I hit enter, and it's on now, right? For this core now, you save your settings. So I'm going down to here, right? You can hit left and right to go to page left and right. Turn on auto saving on the main page. This is the S32X core page. Hit right onto the system and you save the settings for this core. Now the settings have been saved. Okay? So from now on, anytime you load any game with auto saving in the core, it'll be saved to that particular core. And that's what you want. Otherwise, you're going to be playing a game, you're going to get to the end, you're going to say, I'm done for the night. And then you shut the core off, or you unplug the mister, and then you lost all your progress, right? You don't want that. You don't. So make sure that you check to make sure that there's some type of auto saving, or likewise, if the core supports a save state. Not every core has save states. I don't think this one does, but this one definitely has saving to the RAM, right? And you can load backup RAMs and save backup RAM. I guess the 32X had some type of way of doing that. So that's there. Have I messed with RetroSpy? I don't know. I don't know what that is. Should I know what that is? Is it good? Small keyboard and a decent USB power brick. I think that's it, really. You have HDMI cables already. You have USB controllers already. Yeah, just a basic USB keyboard with the F keys. You want the F keys so that you can have access to the shortcuts for the menus. Escape key F12 is the most thing. I think F11 loads up the Bluetooth thing, but you're also going to want to load a script for that. Speaking of scripts, it's a script applet. Oh, is that how they did? That's how they do that? I was curious how they were doing that. I was actually curious to see if there was like some kind of way to show my inputs and my displays and stuff. I didn't know that's what it's called. So thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna look into it after the stream. I wanted that, so whenever I do retro streams and people can actually see what I'm doing on my controller, that would be very useful, actually. So I'm gonna make a note of that. What happened to my stream here? All right, there we go. I think I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of this core. Yeah, I hooked him up with remote. I told him about remote. Remote, you're gonna want remote for sure. So on this SD card that I set up for you, I put remote on here. Remote is a script that runs in the background. It's currently on, and you are gonna want. Boy, you're gonna dig this. Where's my cell phone? Oh, my cell phone. I'm using my cell phone as a webcam, guys. I'm using my cell phone as a webcam. Look at me. Look at how silly. Look at, it's like the glasses on my head, guys. I can't believe this. Anyway, remote, you have the script on your Mister already. So you just need to get the remote app on your phone. It also works on your web browser, on your computer. Any network that you're hooked up to, you want remote. Remote basically lets you type in the name of a game and it'll find it for you. And it'll search your entire SD card. So as long as this app, the script is running, which it is on by default because I turned it on, and you're on a network, you can use the remote website, and I'll link you to that website after I send it to you, PK. You want remote so that you can load stuff so much easier rather than having to go through all the directories and look for stuff. There's other ways of searching for games, but that's one of the better ones. And real quick, update all. You're going to want to run update all occasionally. I've already set your update all. Let me turn off the camera real quick because I want you to be able to see what's going on. Update all has this is where the good stuff's at. I'm going to hit up real quick to go into the settings menu. I don't know if you can see this on the stream. It's kind of small, but basically, I've already set up everything that you want on this. You got the main distribution. You have the JT cores, Jotego or JT cores. This is a separate team that makes arcade cores for the Mister. They have a Patreon set up where if you pay their Patreon, they let you have beta access to their cores. They're cool because they cracked a lot of enviable games that people wanted to play, like the Turtles in Time game, which I'm about to show you. And a bunch of other things like the Simpsons game, for example. High profile games that people want. And they also do smaller games from time to time, but you want to turn them on so that you can actually get them. They're not part of the main Mister distribution set, but they're well respected in the community because they've released really cool stuff. Same with Coin Op Collection, kind of similar mindset. And then there's other things in here that I've set up. The main thing being the arcade organizer. What it does is it takes like the ROM names of your sets and then gives them actual names as opposed to like file names. You can have file names certainly, but wouldn't you rather know what the name of the game is? So this will rename your arcade stuff, specifically the arcade stuff, to have readable names so you know what the games are. There's also another version of the Super Attract mode on here. You have a script and the main Mr. thing. You can go in here and use this version instead if you want to install it. It will update it for you, basically, is what this is for. I have it turned off because, again, I don't use it. And apparently I need to look into RetroSpy, because RetroSpy is the thing that Kajak is telling me where it shows you your freaking inputs on the screen. So I'm going to probably enable that for mine whenever I do another stream on my Mister. I think that's very cool. And I did not realize that's what that was for. So today I learned. Today the teacher has become teached. And like I told you, I don't have an analog pocket, but you can update your analog here. You're on your own on this one. I don't know how this works, but since you have an analog pocket, if you wanted to, you could go, in theory, go in there. I think that's it, really. Everything else is pretty normal. I'm just gonna run this for good measure to make sure I didn't miss anything. Just gonna go ahead and update everything. Basically, when you run this, it goes through everything that was selected on that little setting screen that you saw. It will update basically everything having to do with your Mister. So your downloader gets updated. The arcade organizer gets updated. If it adds more ROMs, it'll run arcade organizer and renames those ROMs. Sometimes the community members will release new ROMs. Like I've been streaming the Taito F2 cores over the past week or so. They got added to the set via update all, and then the arcade organizer renamed them so the names made sense. And when you just let it run, let it do its thing, it'll tell you if there's any errors. When it's all done, it'll say press up, down, left, right to navigate, press enter or whatever, any button to exit, and you're up to date.